Hello everybody, what's going on guys? I'm Craig, this is Spirit of Vinyl. How you guys doing out there today? Hope you guys all had a great week. Did you guys all watch the fight last night? It's Saturday, by the way. I tried to watch the fight. My Netflix kept buffering, so I watched it, over time, I guess you'd say. A little disappointing. I thought the fight between Serrano and, the two women, I think that was the best fight of the night for those of you who watched it. I know we're not here to talk about boxing. We are here to talk about vinyl records. What I'm going to do today is I'm going to jump on a contest for Chris at Stylus Meets Vinyl. And then after I do that, I've had some comments and I've got a whole bunch of new subscribers. And I've gotten a few comments about wanting to hear the dumpster story. That I keep alluding to. And those of you who have been around since the beginning, you already know it. So I'm going to do that afterwards so you can watch this little contest thing and you can skip the rest. And for those of you who want to hear the dumpster story, I will tell it after I am done. So once again, this is a contest for Chris at Stylus Meets Vinyl. And what he wants is like around the world. And he wants he wants you to show a record from a band from each continent. So, or has something to do with that continent or whatever. So we've got the 7 continents: North America, South America, Europe, Asia, Australia, and Antarctica. That's the hard one. And then he also wants one record from a band from Canada because he's up in Canada. And you know how those Canadians are. Every time they do a contest, they want records from Canada. So we're going to give him a record from Canada too. So anyway, North America, I was going to go with the obvious for me. You guys know how big of a Kiss fan I am, but I decided I'm going to take it up a little different. So, The Runaways, Queens of Noise. These 5 women put out some great records. They are from North America. I want to say they were formed in Arizona. Don't quote me on that. But I thought, what's more North American rock than 5 girls who can just totally kick ass? And it gave us Joan Jett and Lita Ford after they were done. So this is a great record all the way through. I love this album, honestly. So The Runaways, North America. So for South America, I went with Slayer because Tom Araya is from Chile. So I was looking at South American bands, and I really don't have a whole lot, but Tom Araya is from Chile, so he's from South America. This is, the Seasons in the Abyss album, right? Wait, yep, yeah. No, sorry, South of Heaven. God damn it. See, you think I would have played better here. Sorry about the glare there. I got a window right there. It's kind of a pain in my ass. South of Heaven from Slayer to represent South America because Tom Araya is from Chile. All right. Europe, there's a lot from Europe. You could have went with many number of bands, but since I've kind of been into the new wave sound, I went with the Human League. This is Dare by the Human League. I love this band. This is a great album altogether. It's got their own little Human League logo on the label there. So, the Human League, Dare. This is what I picked to come from Europe. All right. Asia is next. Loudness. Thunder in the East. This is the one with Rock and Roll Crazy Nights. This is the only Loudness album I have. I do have other bands from Asia. These guys are from Japan. This is a great record, really nostalgic, really cool 80s metal. Loudness, Thunder in the East. This is a great record. I really enjoy this a lot. I'm not a huge fan of Loudness. I wasn't really a huge fan. I did get to see them back in the day when this album came out and they were all over MTV. And, I had to get it when I started collecting records. So, all right, next up is going to be Australia. So what's the band you think of when you think of Australia? I know what most people are going to say, but I am going with Parkway Drive. This is Darker Still. This is their latest record. I love this band. This is a cool band, very heavy, cool metal stuff. They were a little metalcore in the beginning. They've sort of changed their style just a little bit. I like it a lot. This album is a great record. The one that's before this is also a great record. If you've never listened to them, I would definitely recommend Parkway Drive. So Parkway Drive for me is representing Australia. Next is Africa, and Africa, I had a hell of a time because I really don't have the type of music that comes from Africa, honestly, but I did get lucky and find this, Ace Frehley, Frehley's Comet. Anton Fig, the drummer for Frehley's Comet, who was also the drummer for Paul Schaefer's band on the David Letterman show. He is from Cape Town, South Africa, so I picked Frehley's Comet to represent Africa in this contest. This is their self-titled debut. This is the first Frehley's Comet album, the first album that Ace did after he left Kiss. So this has got In the Night and those type of songs when he was all over MTV. This is a really good record. They only did 2 Frehley's Comets records, and then Ace went back to just being Ace Frehley, doing solo stuff. This is a really good record, really good 80s metal record. All right, the next one, super hard, Antarctica. There's no music from Antarctica. There are some songs about Antarctica, some bands. I looked all over. I didn't have any of that, but I picked this. The B-52's Wild Planet. It's the whole planet, so Antarctica is part of the planet. So that's why I'm picking the B-52's Wild Planet to represent Antarctica, because it is the wild planet. The whole planet includes Antarctica. So I know it's a bit of a stretch, but there you go, Chris. You wanted to see what the weird thing we were going to do about Antarctica. He picked Metallica, which makes sense because they're the only band to have ever played there. So I'm assuming anybody who's jumping on this contest, a lot of people are going to be showing Metallica. So B-52's Wild Planet. I was looking for things about ice and different things like that, but I just decided to go with this because the planet, that is Antarctica, the whole thing. All right, and he wanted one more from Canada. So for the Canadian bands, Anvil, Metal on Metal. Anvil's a cool band. We all know the story of Anvil. If you've paid any attention, they kind of had a resurgence with their documentary they had called Anvil, the story of Anvil. And I had basically forgotten about them also until that happened. But this is a really killer record, man. Metal on Metal. It's a great song, great album all the way through. Really cool for that eras of music. A lot heavier than some of the other 80s stuff, I think. You know, a lot less glammy and, you know. But yeah, I like this a lot. I got a few Anvil albums. So Anvil is from Canada. So there's your Canadian one. So there's my choices for my 8 choices for the Around the World Continents thing for Stylus Meets Vinyl for Chris. So thank you all. Thanks, Chris. I'm going to put a link down below to his original so you guys can watch that. And that's pretty much it for the contest. Now I'm going to move on for those of you who are new to my channel. And for Dave, who said in a comment he would love to hear the story about the dumpster. So I'll go back a little bit. About 3 years ago, we moved to Tennessee. And I got a job. I work in the trash business, and I haul those big dumpsters, the ones that like construction sites and different types of things, the ones that the truck comes, he picks them up, takes them to the dump, brings them back when they're empty, puts them back on the ground. That's what I do. They're called roll-off cans. So I started this job in October of 2021. With a new company. It's when I transferred here from Utah and I had to go through like a training thing. So I'm with my trainer for a couple of weeks. I'd done the job before, so I didn't have to do a whole lot. And throughout the time when you're with a guy in a truck all day, we talked music and all kinds of different things. And he knew I was a record collector. Well, one day Mike calls me and says, hey, there's some guys down here throwing stuff away in this dumpster, and I saw some records, and I think I saw some Kiss, and I know you're a Kiss fan, so you might want to come down here. There's 2 dumpsters. I'm going to put one on my back and take it to the yard. I'm not going to dump it in the morning, but the other one's going to be here. You might want to come down, jump in, and take a look. So I was like, fuck, okay. I didn't really want to go. My wife's like, you need to go down there. All right, so I drive down there thinking, okay, records in a dumpster, they're just going to be garbage or whatever. I jump in there, I start finding records, and it was unbelievable. These weren't just trash records. These were records that were all wrapped in, all with the plastic and the sleeves, and there was, Kiss and Maiden and Priest and Led Zeppelin and Pink Floyd and, Eddie Money and Alice Cooper and just on and on, I mean, there were hundreds of them. I pulled out this, basically it was a record collection, like a near mint record collection. These records were from Europe, they were Japanese presses, they were from Amsterdam, they were from West Germany. Like I said, there was Kiss and Maiden and Priest and the list goes on and on. Bands I'd never heard of, like Rage and Coney Hatch, and there was Captain Beyond, and there was, just all kinds of stuff. Led Zeppelin, Floyd, Sabbath, just through the gamut, all these records. So I pulled out hundreds of records that first day out of that one dumpster. And I go home and I was like, you cannot believe I hit the fucking big time. And I just start, originally when I went through, I start flipping through without thinking, like, what am I going to keep? So that first day, I'm flipping through these records, and if I see it and I like it, just pull it out. I'm keeping this, I'm keeping this, I'm keeping this, I'm keeping this. I kept like 100 out of the first ones. And then the next day, went down, got in the back of the other dumpster, and found like 200 more. So altogether, I found like 400 records. They were all in mint condition or near mint condition. Some of them, the Rolling Stones, Emotional Rescue still had the poster. They all had the inserts. They all had the Japanese inserts. They all had the obi strips if they were Japanese. Everything. These were perfectly well taken care of. Great record collection stuff. So I went through them all. And at that point in time, as a record collector, I had like 100 records. And by the time I got done, I had like 400. I kept like 300 plus records out of that collection. I sold a bunch. There was some that were worth a lot of money that I'd already had other copies to, and maybe I kicked myself in the ass. There was an original pressing of Ride the Lightning from Metallica, and I ended up selling it for like $200, and I bought a whole bunch of records. I probably should have kept that, but I already had a repress of Ride the Lightning, so I didn't really see reason to have two copies. So I might as well sell the one that was 200, it was worth $200 or whatever, that I sold on eBay for like $200, and I could buy a whole bunch of records with $200. So I did that. I took a bunch to my local record store. They gave me store credit, and I basically bought and sold records from that find in the collection without spending my own money, just by selling those records for like a year. I got what I took down to the record store. He gave me, I think it was like $400 in store credit for like, 75 or 80 records. And then I was selling stuff on eBay and on Discogs or whatever. Actually, not Discogs at the time, Facebook Marketplace and stuff like that. And I would take that money and buy the records I wanted. And I was selling stuff that I didn't want, because there was a lot of stuff that I didn't want, that I didn't listen to. And I probably should have kept them all in the long run. I look back on it, probably should have kept them all. But ultimately, that's what starts this channel too, was these records. I had this idea that I found these records from this guy, and I did find his name in there, and he had wrote his last name inside the sleeve, so all these records say Myatt on there. And I found a piece of paper from like an auction house when he was selling a car inside one of the boxes of records that I had found, so I knew the guy's name, and I'd looked him up. And he had died like a year and a half beforehand, and he lived like 25 miles away from where I found the records. So how they ended up in a dumpster in downtown Clarksville, Tennessee, I have no idea. He did not live in Clarksville. So, but yeah, I bought and sold off that collection for like a year before I did spend my own money on records. It was really the find of a lifetime. Nothing like that will ever happen. And all you record collectors out there, if that's ever happened to you, you know what I'm talking about when you find something like that. And all this stuff, we're talking thousands of dollars worth of stuff for free that I just found in the dumpster. And hell, I wasn't going to go. My wife talked me into going. You should go down there. You never know what's going to be in there. I'm like, fine, I'll go. Because, I just gotten home from work and I didn't want to go, But ultimately, after that, and knowing who he was, and I kind of felt like his record collection was like meant for me to find, like me being like a museum curator or something like that. So I really feel like part of that was me finding that record, that collection, was the universe, the gods of vinyl tell me about this. And the spirit of what Mike's collection was, you know, and his style of music, and I could see what, you know, what he cared about and what he bought. And I'm assuming he must have been military, because these were from all over the world. Like I said, I have West German press, East German presses, stuff from the Netherlands, stuff from Japan, from all over Europe. I mean, you know, so I'm thinking he must have been military at the time when he was collecting. And this collection goes from, like, I don't know, about 74 all the way up to like 82 is about the newest ones in this collection. So the spirit of that record collection, plus mine, and plus I had some records from a friend of mine who had died, it kind of formed into this thing, and that's why this channel is called The Spirit of Vinyl, and that's what started this channel. Me talking about that, wanting to share that collection and how it had morphed into mine and how they connect together. Now my son's buying records, and how record collections have their own spirit. So that's how this channel started. So anyway, that's the dumpster story for all of you new subs out there, which I do really appreciate. I've gotten a whole lot, and, you know, recently especially, so I really, really appreciate it. You guys are awesome out there. There you go, Dave. That's the story. That is the famous dumpster story. So when I'm showing records and I say, I found this in the dumpster, now you know what I'm talking about. So thanks again, guys. I really appreciate you guys watching. I will talk to you all next week. Have a great one.